Hey everybody, you're here at the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. Go ahead, hit that like button wherever you are across the world, or the internet, or the realm, whatever you want to call it. I want to say a big ol' hello to Canary BB over on DLive. DLive, Canary BB. We got on YouTube, Dadalorian, Christopher, Angel, Daniel. What's going on over on Rumble? We got Bibu Zuzu. Hola. All right, everybody. We got a good show today. It's one of those early shows. Not as early as we want it to be, but earlier than we could possibly hope for. So we're happy about that. Just a reminder. You can produce the show at canarycry.support. You can leave us a voice message over at canarycrynewstalk.com. Click on the green tab that's on the right or the bottom of the screen, and you can give shout-outs, ask questions, say hi, or leave a pre-show prayer. That's right. Spiritually producing the show is another essential way that you, our dear producers, keep this show going. We got Mr. Shabibi K over on Twitch. What's going on? I'm going to mute myself for 1 second so I can cough. There we go. My cough button is gone. So I have to do it the old-fashioned way. What was I going to say? I'm going to send out the text message. I did send out the text message. Okay, there you go. Y'all should have text messages from me in your inbox. And if you don't have it, text the word canary to 877-740-3226. That's canary to 877-740-3226. I've seen, seen a number of people text that number, finding all sorts of creative ways to not type out canary, the word canary. Then maybe they put a period at the end, or they put it twice, or something. Just remember the simple word canary. Text that to 877-740-3226, and you'll start getting our text message alerts before every show. All right, everybody, time to get going.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is September 20th, 2023, and we're live to tape on episode 669. And today, City Brain Poon and Pacific West North? I don't know. But Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy.
I hope I'm not crazy with my brain.
With your brain?
And my name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit Films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events and today's emerging phenomenon, brains.
Brains, so delicious. Right after the zombie episode.
I know.
My
We're
goodness.
doing all of our October stuff now because, the media's doing it, and we're always ahead. So. And I noticed a lot of brains in, Halloween paraphernalia has always been, skulls and bats and witches and that kind of stuff. I've noticed a lot of brains this year. I've been collecting photos, going down to like the a local art store, and you can find a bunch of Halloween brains that you can put on display or make food out of. It's it's getting out there.
Spooky.
Yeah, because 1 Peter 4:7, the end of all things is at hand. Therefore, be self-controlled and sober-minded for the sake of your prayers. You can't have a sober mind if your brains are all messed up.
Yeah, that's why he's the pro, folks. You got to find these things in the Bible. Okay, well, before we get started, Gons, why don't we give a little disclaimer for our YouTube friends?
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right, and just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right, and let me give you a rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
That's right, everybody. We'll be bringing you up to speed on the artificial intelligence war and how China is aiming to replicate the human brain. Some big updates coming out of the East there. And then, of course, Flippy is moving on up in the world. No longer is he just relegated to sitting on the manufacturing lines and car factories or flipping burgers at burger factories. No, he's moving on up, climbing that corporate ladder. Then we'll be checking in with an old school topic that has some pretty big updates. Yes, it's CERN. You know that. They're busy over at CERN opening up portals, erasing the human mind, and manipulating the experiences of entire populations. And now, even CNN is getting in on the fun. We will be catching up with the mainstream media narrative, which now has shifted to, quote, "We can no longer hide the truth about Russia-Ukraine war." That's nice of them. A nice implicit admission that they've been hiding the truth. And then at the end of the show, checking in with yet another hoax at Salem Elementary. But first, Gons, our lead stories.
Gonna kick it off with artificial intelligence, China, beast system, wars and rumors of wars, all the things.
Artificial intelligence.
China. It's not racist at all, no.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
We shall hear wars and rumors of wars.
Yeah, we're gonna kick it off here with a article from Newsweek. I just realized we have two Newsweek articles today. Of course, pretty mainstream, probably an intelligence op there. The headline here: China aims to replicate human brain and bid to dominate global AI. All right. So, there's not anything that's new or anything unheard of, but there's some updates here. Aiming to be the first in the world to have the most advanced forms of artificial intelligence, while also maintaining control over more than 1 billion people, elite Chinese scientists and their government have turned to something new and very old for inspiration: the human brain. In one of thousands of efforts underway, they are constructing a city brain to enhance the computers at the core of these smart cities that already scan the country from Beijing's broad avenues to small town streets, collecting and processing terabytes of information from intricate networks of sensors, cameras, and other devices that monitor traffic, human faces, voices, and gait. Remember we talked about the gate thing? And even look for gathering fights. So just before we get too far along here, you got something? You sound like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was going to mention that they mentioned smart cities in this article, which is very interesting because the mainstream media has been calling smart cities a QAnon related conspiracy theory.
Except it's mentioned like 15 times in the infrastructure bill or whatever. So, yeah. That's right. Quite the conspiracy theory.
Again, conspiracy theories didn't make up the term. The term was coined by, WEF and Biden's bill.
Yeah.
Infrastructure bill. But yeah, smart cities is in quotation marks there, meaning that that's the term being used in the official documents.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd point that out.
So when I saw the city brain idea, it stirred up some old memories, Basil, from my youth.
Funny ones,
I'm not saying that they are appropriate, but let me, I know you didn't really watch South Park. It's a lot of Christian families banned the show South Park in their homes. Of course, I didn't grow up in a Christian home, so South Park was on every week, and I was watching it every week from age, I don't know, probably 12 or 13, something like that. And there's a joke that appeared on one of the episodes a long time ago. It was basically a Chinese restaurant called City Walk. And the guy's accent, the Asian or the Chinese owner of the restaurant, would pronounce it Chitty Walk.
A different way.
I'll say Chitty Walk. There you go. Chitty Walk. But, even more on the CH or the CI of the city.
Yeah,
there.
I think we're following.
Yeah, okay.
Guns. Yes, thank you.
I was going to play a whole clip, but Basil said probably not a great idea. Although I've seen pastors get away with the word too. So, there's a sneaky way to do it. But, the word dung is in the Bible, modern translations of dung, But anyway, so in effect, I hope the internet picks up on that meme and makes fun of China's shitty brain. Equipped with surveillance and visual processing capabilities modeled on human vision, the new brain, in parentheses, will be more effective, less energy hungry, and will improve governance, its developers say. Quote, "We call it bionic retina computing," Gao Wen, a leading artificial intelligence researcher, wrote in a paper, City Brain, Challenges and Solution. Now, I'd like to point out the name of this paper, City Brain, Challenges and Solution, singular. They have a solution, not solutions. Usually, you have a list of challenges, you have a list of solutions. Yes, the solution. So I thought that was kind of a subtle way to, flex supremacy. The work by Gao and his cutting-edge Pencheng laboratory in the southern city of Shenzhen represents far more than just China's drive to expand its ever more pervasive monitoring of its citizens. It is also an indication of China's determination to win the race for what is known as artificial general intelligence. It's another thing we've talked about quite a bit, which is the difference between artificial intelligence, just generally speaking. Then there's the I shouldn't use the word general in the context here because it confuses people. More, widespread, a wide net. And then there's generative artificial intelligence, or GAI, I don't know, GAI, which is a lot of what the art stuff is now, and music, a lot of the stuff that generates.
Sort of replicating creativity.
Yeah. And then there's artificial general intelligence, which is more akin to what, people have talked about when it comes to the ultimate goal of AI or ultimate destination of AI, of some kind of sentience. And this goes all the way back to...
It's a little bit more focused on problem solving.
Right.
So
An AI that can not only think...
any problem at it, and it will recognize the problem, understand the obstacles, and then create ways around those obstacles.
Right. They describe it as an AI that can not only outthink people on a vast number of tasks and give whoever controls it an enormous strategic advantage, but which has also prompted warnings from experts in the West. So, yeah, we've known about the thing here. But Newsweek doing their research. Gao's is just one of about 1,000 papers seen by Newsweek that show China is forging ahead in the race for artificial general intelligence, which is a step change beyond the large language models such as ChatGPT or Bard, already taking societies by storm with their ability to generate text and images and, find vast amounts of information quickly. Quote, "Artificial general intelligence is the atomic bomb of the information field and the game winner." It's a game, Basil. It's just a game. In the competition between China and the United States, another leading Chinese AI scientist, Zhu Songjun, said in July in his hometown of Izhao in Wuhan, or by Wuhan in Hubei province, according to Jingchu Net, an online website of Hubei Daily, a Communist Party media outlet. Thanks for telling us, Newsweek, that they're a Communist Party. Just as in the 1950s and 60s, when Chinese scientists worked around the clock to build the atomic bomb, intercontinental missile, and satellite, quote, "We need to develop AI like the 2 bombs and 1 satellite, and form an AI ace army that represents the national will, Zhu said. Okay. We were talking about this before, Basil. What exactly is an ace army in the traditional kind of vernacular out here?
I don't know what an ace army is, but an ace is a name for a very good pilot in sort of traditional Air Force terms.
I'm thinking of Motorhead and the Ace of Spades. The Ace of Spades. Now, is this an army of AI, or is this human people using AI?
You talk about the one in the article?
The Chinese AI ace army. Is it robots?
No,
what is
I have
it?
No idea. Okay. It is sort of an undefined term that they use here, but it sounds like that they are trying to create basically a military, perhaps an air force that is sort of controlled and executed by AI instead of AI being sort of utilized as a tool by a human army.
Right. So it says here, China aims to lead the world in AI by 2030. Of course. And, the China Brain Project announced in 2016 is mentioned here. I made a face like this on video about that. I remember specifically saying, this we might want to pay attention to this. So, we've been on this for a while, and here we are. And, they get into all kinds of more details about artificial general intelligence. There's a section here. Let me just read a little bit out of the section. A major difference between the West and China is the public debate over the dangers AI, including very advanced AI, could pose. Quote, AI labs are recklessly rushing to build more and more powerful systems with no robust solutions to make them safe. Anthony Aguirre of the U.S.-based Future of Life Institute told Newsweek, referring largely to the work in the U.S. More than 33,000 scientists signed a call by the Institute in March for a 6-month pause. Remember that? It hasn't gained any more than the 33K from March. I thought, March to September, October, I thought they'd get a couple more thousand signatures, but apparently not. Few such existential concerns are expressed in public in China. Yeah, in China, they're just like, come to Chitty Brain. Yeah, we watch you, we listen to you, we feed you, we keep you happy over with the Chitty Brain.
Yeah, there's not very many public concerns expressed at all over there.
Because you probably get shut down.
Disappear.
You probably lose your ability to do anything if you do, especially on social media and stuff, because, the Chitty Brain watching. Okay, so they talk about how they examined thousands of these Chinese scientific papers on AI that were published between 2018 and 2022, which is, again, Newsweek, doing their due diligence here. And there's a section here, and part of the conversation, traditionally the idea of like a sentient AI was kind of poo-pooed, until the last year with the guy from Google. What was his name that came out and said that their AI was sentient?
Yeah,
I forget his name.
Lemieux.
Yeah. That kind of took the media conversation into like, AI, this sort of fear-driven thing with AI. But until that point, this idea of like, we're going to create sentience with the AI was kind of reserved for people like us saying like, kind of sounds like the image of the beast. And then really, really, I don't know, people that are really deep into creating this stuff, from the secular point of view. So now it's kind of like, China's doing it. It's a real threat. And they quote people from Georgetown saying like, China's ahead. If they win, they'll have an edge in all this stuff. But in that segment there, it says here, in addition to the papers identified in the study, others seen by Newsweek explored human-robot value alignment. Value alignment. I thought that was an interesting thing, Basil, because we've talked about that with our Flippy updates for years. This value alignment of robots. Quote, amygdala-inspired effective computing, referring to a small part of the brain that processes fear. Industrial applications such as, quote, a closed-loop brain-computer interface with augmented reality feedback for industrial human-robot collaboration. And from 2023, July 2023, BrainCog, a spiking neural network-based brain-inspired cognitive intelligence engine for brain-inspired AI and brain simulation. So I think what they're doing is they want to use the fear segments of the human brain to keep AI in check, or, have their values, the robots' values aligned with the use of this AI kind of thing.
It's an interesting part of the problem, because alignment, AI alignment, this is something that some people may have heard. It's not necessarily a mainstream conversation, but there's some podcasters and stuff talking about AI alignment, which is, it doesn't matter how good an artificial intelligence is at thinking. It could be the best or it could be the worst, but if its values are not aligned with human values, it could be super impressive and can even be malevolent. What is the
malevolent? Malevolent.
No, the good one.
Oh, benevolent.
Benevolent. There it is. It could be benevolent, but if the values are not aligned, then you get what's called the paperclip problem. The paperclip problem is, say you made an AI whose sole goal is to make as many paper clips as possible, and in so doing, the AI would then, run out of metal. Then it would start melting down cars to make paper clips, and then when it ran out of cars, it would start draining the Earth's core of its metal, and then it would inevitably just end up destroying the whole universe, because that's the most efficient way to make as many paper clips as possible. So it's this values alignment that is really the core of the big problem of super advanced AI, and is really the sort of source of the fear from people who, think AI is going in a certain direction and have certain level of capability. More than anything, the capability is second to aligning it with human values. And this amygdala, whatever it was, amygdala alignment, something or other, computing.
Yeah, the amygdala inspired
really
effective
weird.
computing.
Yeah, it was really weird to hear at first, but digging into it a little bit further there, because, the amygdala controls fear and anger and things like that in the brain. But yeah, if you are trying to inspire a computer to understand human values, fear is a great place to start.
It is the mechanism almost to keep people from not doing something. It's kind of how the morals and ethics are shaped a lot of times. So it's very interesting. They talk about the large language models and how they're the only way to actually get it right is to reverse engineer the brain. And this comes to, man, there's so many points here, because one of the things that we did in 2014, Basil, when we were just young lads venturing into the world of podcasting, we had an interview with a gentleman named Dr. Hugo de Garis. Dr. Hugo de Garis is the author of a book called The Art-elect War. And let me just read a little bit of our description from that page from 2014. I was kind of blown away by how relevant it is. It says here, artificial intelligence is already here, but how will the singularity, or the point at which machines achieve sentience, be received by humanity? In this episode, Basil and Gonz are joined by Professor Hugo de Garis, author of the very fascinating book entitled The Art-elect War, Cosmists versus Terrans, a bitter controversy concerning whether humanity should build godlike massively intelligent machines. Professor de Garis speculates that the major political clash of the 21st century will be between what he calls the cosmists, who tout we should pursue creating godlike machines, and the Terrans, who tout this will lead to the destruction of mankind. While discussions about the potential of massively intelligent machines is currently reserved for the few, movies like Transcendence, which came out at the time, brings the conversation to the front here. Again, it's crazy, because Professor de Garis, he's an Australian native. He was a researcher in the subfield of artificial intelligence, known as evolvable hardware. That's what he was working on. And in the 1990s, he was in China. He got recruited by China to help reverse engineer the human brain. So they've been at this for a long time. And I think Dr. Hugo de Garis got excommunicated or something because he wouldn't go along with some of it, because he was like, I don't like what you guys are doing. I don't agree with it. And then once he started to kind of call him out a little bit, they didn't kill him, obviously, but they said, hey, your visas are revoked or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. An interesting part of this article here. It's a quote under the subheadline AGI with Chinese characteristics. It says here, Beijing will focus on, quote, brain-like intelligence, embodied intelligence, and produce enlightened large models and general intelligence, it said. A 1 million square feet Beijing General Artificial Intelligence Innovation Park is due to be finished at the end of 2024. And they describe a few of these things: brain-like intelligence, meaning they're reverse engineering the brain to program artificial intelligence with a structure like the brain. Embodied intelligence, in which a quote from earlier in the article talks about putting, there's an AGI, an artificial general intelligence, inside of a robot body, and they describe that process as something like humanizing, creating human-robot hybrids, something like that. So the idea being that if you reverse engineer the human brain, that there is something human about it, and then you give that human brain a body so that it can act out in the real world. And the quote here, and produce enlightened large models and general intelligence. So, of course, everybody wants to make an enlightened artificial intelligence.
Kind of sounds like an image receiving breath, There
you go.
You hit on a point that I wanted to touch on in the article. There are a couple interesting acronyms here. There's the Beijing Institute of General Artificial Intelligence, BIGAI. BIGAI? Is that BIGAI? I'm just reading it. I'm just reading it, folks.
That acronym stuff, don't you?
I do. I think BIGAI is doing well with their AI thing. And then there's the Beijing Academy of Artificial Intelligence, BAAI, but kind of looks like Bale. Just looks like it's just Bale. Yeah, there you go. And then there's any other highlights? Hard at work in their laboratory, some Chinese researchers have also been focusing on what AI could mean for ideology. One paper aiming for AGI noted that, quote, unhealthy information can easily harm the psychology of college students. The title of the paper, quote, an intelligent, software-driven, immersive environment for online political guidance based on brain-computer interface and autonomous systems, end quote.
Kind of babysit those college students
in a virtual environment and shape their psychology and make sure they don't have harmful things enter their mind. I mean, this is craziness. This is
poor
nuts.
Little brains can't handle hard information.
Such an application of the technology, it said, was inevitable. I think that's true. It's inevitable. And, this comes right as Elon Musk's Neuralink announced that they're looking for human subjects now. They're good to go. I don't think they're the first ones to do it, but of course it's Elon, so he gets all the headlines. I think there's another competitive company that already had human trials going. So, it's not like the biggest news, but also Elon, the personality, probably just, makes everybody stoked about it. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird that he went all conservative, right wing, whatever, truth, Second Amendment, conservatism. And he's also the same guy.
I don't know if he would describe himself as conservative, but
I don't think so either. But he definitely catered to that crowd because he probably saw where the culture was heading. So anyway, there you go. There's our little thing. I hope nobody gets trapped in this city brain. The chitty brain. Don't. We just watch you. We feed you. We keep you happy.
It
city
adds
brain knows all.
Okay. It adds an interesting angle to the growing concern about China in the geopolitical sense, where we obviously have, factions within the U.S. government. Some factions want to downplay the risk of China. Other factions want to exaggerate the risk of China, although those two factions have sort of congealed recently post-Ukraine post start of the Ukraine war, to divert this sort of military energy, this spending momentum towards protecting Taiwan as well. And so this is another great, bullet point on the list of reasons why, we got to figure out a way to commit some sort of either economic war or regulatory restraints on China, because the U.S. loves putting, regulatory restraints on other sovereign nations. That's like our favorite thing to do. But it is very real, and I think as often as we talk about the advances in artificial intelligence and technology in the U.S., we know that it is much further along in China. And the good news is, if they are that much further along than us to creating some sort of apocalyptic, artificially intelligent, God or something, we at least will be able to see the AI sort of destroy civilization in China just a week or two before it makes it over to the U.S. and does the same thing here. So we'll get a
it's
little
going to hop on
bit
a
of
plane,
warning.
crawl, fly over, come down, jump out of the plane, land in DC. Everyone thought it was going to be the UFOs. No, it's just city brain, Chinese city brain. The other thing, I think this is also thinking about why Newsweek would even feature this and talk about this. They're really trying to get the U.S. to have some kind of arm, an official, either militant or, whatever, to govern all of this, which has been part of the conversation this year with Sam Altman leading the charge there.
Oh, yeah. It almost certainly is going to happen,
yeah.
Especially with that big AI meeting that Elon said was all the smartest people in the world in one room figuring out, and they all want to regulate AI. It's going to be great. Okay, well, let's...
The danger of nuclear warheads by a lot.
Yep. We're all just people in the People Zoo.
Yes.
And
do you want to play People Zoo?
Oh, I can, yeah.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my People Zoo.
Real quick here, because, it's just fun. The whole UN meeting's happening in New York right now. And, UN chief, Ted, I think, what's his name? I'm trying to remember his name here. His name is, I must have lost it. Oh, well. Oh, Antonio Guterres, that's what it is. Here's what he said, I think, yesterday.
Focus here is on climate solutions, and our task is urgent. Humanity has opened the gates of hell.
We've opened the gates of hell, Basil.
Yeah.
Worshippers. Sinful generation.
It's our fault. We opened the gates of hell.
Yeah, well, it's because of CERN, obviously.
Obviously. Yeah, the timing couldn't be any better. So there you go. Gates of hell are opening. Also, Joe Biden. I know we haven't played a whole lot of Joe Biden clips in the recent months here. I think at the beginning we were clipping him a lot because of all the flubs, and then now it's gotten pretty sad. And here he is yesterday standing at the UN headquarters in New York trying to deliver his speech without too much of an issue, but he did have some moments.
Now, even as we evolve our institutions and drive creative new partnerships, let me be clear. Certain principles of our international system are sacrosanct.
Now, if you listen carefully, I think somebody laughs when he says, let me be clear. Listen to it again.
Now, even as we evolve our institutions and drive creative new partnerships, let me be clear. Certain principles of our international system are sacrosanct.
Did you hear it?
Definitely something saying something.
Moving a chair or something in the background.
That is not an easy job for the UN translators who are, everybody's wearing their little headphones with their translation going on. That is, they should be getting paid more.
Should be. Well, I think their jobs they're going to lose their jobs to AI. I'm pretty sure AI is going to take over. And
that's true.
The AI will shape, what Joe's saying. And once Joe gets the neural link, he doesn't even have to talk. He'll just communicate with us from his brain.
It'll be so boring getting rid of all of his flubs.
Yeah. All right. Well, what is it today?
Okay.
What are we doing today?
It's Wednesday, folks. Here we go.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday.
Hey guys, know what day it is? It's Wednesday. Time for the Canary Cry News Talk. Yeehaw!
Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Yep, it's Wednesday and we are cruising along. A nice early show today. I think we'll try our best for a nice early show on Friday, but anything interesting happening at the beginning of this week, Gonzo?
I don't know. Just continued life challenges. Oh, I've been getting, you know how I've been bombarded with bug bites this summer. Mm-hmm. And I went to the park the other day, kids were running around, and there was a mosquito. It found an old bug bite, and he like re-entered into it, and I felt it was really itchy. I'm like, what is going on? So I gave it a couple scratches, and it peeled off the thing. There was blood, and then out of the pool of blood. Yeah, yes, buddy, what's up? Yeah, he wants to show me his little snack there. Out of the pool of blood comes out this bloody mosquito, like out of a movie or something. He was like, and he came out and he flew away, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
What?
I hope I am not microchipped.
The old double whammy. Yeah. Well, you're probably vaccinated for something now.
I know. I was the whole time I'm shaking my fist at Bill Gates, and people are wondering what is wrong with this guy. But
you got the double. You got your boot. You got your original malaria vaccine, Bill Gates malaria vaccine, and then that other little guy was just coming to give you your booster, man.
Oh, man. Well, hopefully things will work out. But yeah, that was my day a couple days ago, yesterday. So how about you?
Yeah. Okay. Well, my entire day yesterday, for about 12 hours, I woke up, the sun was shining, I walk outside, I go check the emus, and wouldn't you believe it, there's just one emu in the emu pen again, just days after the last great escape. And yeah, so luckily this time the emu did not get far, just kind of found a shady spot, close by, sat down, stayed there all day long, wouldn't move, couldn't get the thing to move, very stubborn. This is a very stubborn emu. After a little bit of research and some connecting with the American Emu Society, turns out during mating season, which apparently is right now for my emus. Yeah, there could be some trouble in paradise.
Yeah, they're going to be fighting over some of the more prized lady emus.
Yeah, well, there's so actually the lady emus in this case, or well, in all emu cases, are the ones who choose the mate. So it's a little bit different than some other species. The ladies are in charge during mating season, and they recommend that you actually have multiple male emus because then the lady has some sort of choices. Well, I don't have that. I just got the one, and I think the rejection is just too much for him. He was literally acting like depressed. Like I couldn't get him up. I couldn't get him to walk. He didn't want to eat. He didn't want to do anything.
She doesn't like me.
Yeah, he just fully got rejected and is really sad about it. And on top of that, I had to spend literally all day from dusk till dawn building a new emu pen, just sort of out of the just materials I just happen to have laying around, because you got to separate them or else they'll keep fighting. And not going to lie, it's kind of savage. These big birds you do not want to get in between a female emu who is rejecting a male emu. So they are currently separated. They're spending some time apart. He's not pressing charges, but we'll see how the relationship develops. But yeah, dusk till dawn, didn't walk back inside until 8 p.m. or something like that. So I'm exhausted, and my forearms are complete. My forearms feel how like Arnold Schwarzenegger's forearms look. Now,
Popeye,
he's got a couple inches. He's got, he's a little bit more veiny than myself.
You're talking about the forearm.
The forearm.
Not the height. I think you're taller than him.
Wielding post hole diggers and breaker bars and shovels all by myself for like 12 hours. I can barely even squeeze these virtual reality controllers.
Listen to these humans whine about their labor.
I know.
Let me just send you a robot that doesn't complain.
Disembodied robot arms that could get all this done for me. So there you go. It's been an exciting time with the emus, but peace has been restored.
You know what would really put you into the stratosphere is you need to start a TV show called Emu Amor. You know, feathers find flames. You know, they're the dating show for emus.
That would certainly attract a certain brand of sort of anti-social Australian people. That's for sure. But you know what? If you listen, according to the social justice warriors, they need television programming too. Yeah. But Gons, there's good news. It's time to thank some executive producers.
Executive producers.
That's right. We are on the value for value model. You know it. You love it. It means you don't have to listen to advertising during your favorite podcast. But not only that, you get to rest easy in the knowledge that your favorite podcasters, Basil and Gons, are not taking corporate money, commie money, or cartel money. And by choice, look, a lot of people don't take corporate money, but it's not by choice. We, by choice, choose not to take any corporate money for a couple of reasons. One of them is ads are no fun. However, there's some grumpy gusses out there that would prefer that we play ads instead of, you know, mentioning a sort of uncomfortable paradigm change that we've all been programmed to let corporate elites decide what media survives and what media doesn't. But, you know, this show is not for the faint of heart, nor the faint of mind. And that's why we are on the value for value model, which means if you get any value out of what we do here, you're invited to put some value back in. And you can do that with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Lots of ways to get involved and produce the show, because that's exactly what you are. You're producers of the show. And that's not a gimmick. That's not a cute little nickname. Nothing. No, that's the real deal. You can put it on your LinkedIn, put it on your Twitter bio, whatever you want to do. Give them our email, and we will vouch for you. But the executive producers, they're people who come in, and they are extra generous with their value for value, and they support any individual episode with $100 or more. And let's thank them now, Gons.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, coming in at the last second, I mean, we had such a wonderful showing last episode, and it's sort of just how it goes. If we have a good day, then the next episode is not going to be so good, which was the case up until, you know, just about the last second when we did have an executive producer come in and produce the show. And apparently I didn't write their names down. So let me pull it up here. Here they are. Everybody join me in a rousing round of applause for executive producer Clara H.
Clara H. Thank you.
Whee! Thank you very much, executive producer Clara H. I did not see a note or anything come in, so we will just take that blessing and thank you for it, and remind everybody out there to keep these executive producers in your mind, because they are going a long way to keep this show alive for all of us, not just for themselves. The fun part is you can think about it in lots of different ways. You know, you can executive produce for yourself in sort of a selfish way. You can do it in sort of a selfless way where you are keeping the show alive for thousands of people around the world, or you can executive produce for us. Of course, we enjoy that as well. And that's it. Our one executive producer for the day. We appreciate very much executive producer Clara H.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Clara H. Appreciate it.
Yeah. You know, and it's a pretty short list all around today, Gons. Do you want to just go through the list now? Mm-hmm. Okay, we got some other producers who came in to keep this show alive, and we appreciate it very much. Value for value. Go to canarycry.support. Starting with producer Jeremy F.
Jeremy F. Thank you very much.
Jeremy F. Yes, comes in with a nice round number, which means we will not disclose it on the show. If you don't mind us disclosing your support amount, you can make it a funky number, put 11 cents, 33 cents, 77 cents, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Something that sends the message that it'll be a fun number to read on the show. Jeremy F. comes in, nice round number, but a note as well. The note reads, blessings to both of you. Shalom, Sir Jeremy the Tiger Tamer, Knight of the Land of Three Daughters.
Ooh.
Oh, I apologize. I should have thanked you with your knight name. Sir Jeremy the Tiger Tamer, Knight of the Land of the Three Daughters.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Indeed.
That is a Triceratops. Doing dinosaurs over here.
Oh, you're talking to your son.
The son. Is,
okay, got it. I'm going to write down Sir Jeremy's name here so I remember it for next
double
time.
Check the round table as well.
That's true. That's true. But we're not here to audit claims right now. We're here to thank our producers, such as producer Palmer C.
Palmer C. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Palmer C comes in with 1111. Thank you very much.
11.
No note. We also had producer Tracy W.
Tracy W. Thank you very much.
Another 1111.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and of course we've got producer Malik W.
Malik W.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Malik.
There we go. All right, that concludes the list of financial producers who came in the amount of $7.77 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. We got a few more people who came in under that amount. They're on streaks, and we're going to thank them now. Starting with Dr. Who Done Dat, 8 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Dr. Who Done That. Hold on one second.
We got Veronica D.
Oh, sorry. This is under 777?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. Veronica D, 308 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D.
We got Sir Scott Knight of Truth, 335 in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
And here's the man of the hour. It's Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
348 episodes in a row. Booyah. Next up, we've got Dame Gail, Canary Whisperer, and Lady of X's and O's, 307 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Dame Gail.
We've got Sir Morv, Night of the Burning Chariots, 279 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir. Thank you to
Sir
Morv.
Thank you is good. Thank you. All right, that concludes our list of financial producers. Thank you guys so much. And consider the lily of the field and consider the podcasters of the truth. And if this show brings any value to your life, think about getting involved. You can get involved, like I say, with your time, your talent, or your treasure. If you want to learn more, head on over to canarycry.support.
Yes, sir.
Canarycry.support.
I'm seeing Sir Jeremy, the Tiger Tamer, Knight of the Land of the Three Daughters, was knighted on episode 333. So literally, or I guess a little more than half the time.
50% ago.
50% ago. Yeah. There you go. All right.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Yep.
And I think, Gons, it is time for the Flippy update.
So,
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Yeah, folks, it's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world. And now there's nothing we can do about it. Wow. This is a fun story because, of course, this was, pontificated over and predicted many years ago by those who are paying attention to the Flippy update. It's coming from NorthshoreNews.com, nsnews.com. The headline is, oh, I got the wrong one here. Hold on. Sorry.
I got it.
No, this one is coming from Fortune.
Yeah.
Fortune.com has the headline, Polish Spirits Company appoints AI as CEO. Robot vows, no personal bias, only unbiased and strategic choices.
Isn't that biased, though? Isn't that a bias towards the unbiased strategic choice?
Oh, that's very very good, Gons. It's
robots can't philosophize.
Very clever. I think the idea of an AI vowing anything is kind of an interesting concept. Because a vow, it's hard to think of a vow outside of the human context, because a vow is a commitment, but it's not a commitment because of lack of free will. You're not going to hold to your vow because you have no other choice. You're holding to a vow as a sort of symbol.
It's a spiritual agreement.
That even when you don't want to hold to your vow, you will. It's, in a way, it is an attempt for, and this is just spitballing here, not trying to lay down theology, but a human taking a vow is almost a way to attempt to apply robotic characteristics to a human free will. It's not necessarily the most natural thing for a free will to hold to a commitment, even at the cost of, self-preservation or best interest or whatever. That's what makes a vow so. Some might call it sacred, or something like some version of a higher version of our humanity is keeping a vow. And of course, we have vows in all sorts of different contexts, including marriage and things like that. And Lord knows that human beings, when they take a vow, it is not necessarily guaranteed that vow will be kept. So a vow being sort of an attempt to roboticize a free will. So a robot taking a vow makes me either question the robot's senses, or it means absolutely nothing at all. That's the robot taking a vow is almost no vow at all. But anyways, also interesting, we're talking about a Polish spirits company. Ooh. Yeah. The article goes like this. While many workers are worried artificial intelligence will take their job one day, a Polish drinks company is handing over the CEO role to a robot. Dictador, best known for its rums, has appointed a robot run with artificial intelligence to oversee the company. It goes by the name Mika. Now,
Mika or Micah?
It's Mika, M-I-K-A. Is Mika. It is that female robot standing in that picture there. We've actually reported on Mika before. But Mika has now climbed the corporate ladder, CEO, and a woman robot.
A woman, I was going to say. Yeah.
There you go.
Shatter that glass ceiling.
Now, there's been this concept called intersectionality in the sort of sociology, social justice conversation for a while. And intersectionality is the characteristic of a person or a group of people that have multiple sort of, some might say, victimhood points. You're black. Well, you've got like Karine Jean-Pierre,
right.
Our communication secretary at the White House there. She's black, she's a woman, and she's a lesbian. So it's sort of a trifecta, intersectional social justice type of thing. And here we have a woman robot, or I guess they would call female presenting robots. So, of course, as we all know, female presenting people can't be CEOs, my goodness. And robots, as we know at this exact moment, are not given the rights and the freedoms of other people. They are an oppressed class who are basically a slave class of persons on this earth. And so you've got a woman robot as CEO of this this booze company.
I don't like the name Dictador. It's too close to dictator. What does it mean? What does dictador mean in Polish?
I'm almost positive that it means dictator.
Oh, good.
I think it's, but I mean, we could look this up here. Dictador definition. Yeah, I mean, it's dictador. Yeah. soberano que recibe, o se arragó el derecho de gobernar con poderes absolutos y sin someterse a ninguna ley. So there, that clears up that.
Apparently, it's not a Polish word. So
no, it is not.
Stealing from the Spanish.
Dictador's board, this is a quote, Dictador's board decision is revolutionary and bold at the same time. Revolutionary and bold. Oh my goodness.
It sounds like a mid 2010s mission statement from a church. Be revolutionary. Be bold.
Revolutionary and bold at the same time, said Dictador Europe President Marek Sildrowski in a statement. Quote, this first human-like robot with AI in a company structure will change the world as we know it forever.
Forever.
I mean, look, if you're the president of this booze company and you were passed up, for the CEO role, and they put a female robot at that in charge. I mean, he's not wrong. It will change the world as we know it forever. It was, by our accounting, sort of destined to happen. It was never not going to happen. Yeah. So, first company to be able to claim it on their spreadsheets, that's whatever. It's still a point. Significant decisions like hiring and firing are still in the hands of the humans at the company. Instead, Mika will largely focus on choosing artists to design custom bottles.
Oh, hey, wait a minute. Can we hire Mika for our process back here, or back room?
Maybe Mika can help us out. Yeah, choose some artists to design custom bottles. That's what a CEO is known for doing. Quote, my decision-making process relies on extensive data analysis and aligning with the company's strategic objectives. There's that aligning phrase again. Mika said in an, quote, interview with Reuters. They put the word
quotes. Yeah, I like
interview in quotation marks.
Oh, they're gonna get it for that. In the future when they scan back on everything, you did not give us humanity.
Yeah. Quote, it's devoid of personal bias, ensuring unbiased and strategic choices that prioritize the organization's best interests. An organization's best interests means selling booze. Yeah. That's a fun way to do it. But, choosing the art is actually a pretty interesting position for a robot to be in, because it's been a problem in corporate circles for a long time, which is, whoever is choosing the artist or the art, they really are making that decision based on what they think is good. And yeah, you can have some data on, some data analysis on which artists are top selling, what kind of design choices sell. But when it really comes down to it, especially a CEO, like a non-creative position, having a non-creative person in charge of ultimately choosing the creative aspects of the business is one of the sort of pitfalls of the whole corporate structure. But Mika is here to solve all of it, choosing the art that goes on the bottle. And I think this is very interesting because we don't really think about it, folks. We don't think about it often. I think about it because I am a crazy person. But when you are walking down the street and you see billboards, you see signage, you see flyers, you see whatever, every single thing about every single one of those pieces of advertising or labeling is chosen by a human being. Sometimes they are chosen by human beings who have good taste. Some they are not. But it's these advertisements. One of the really malicious things about advertising, and that includes labeling bottles, is that the corporate interests are dictating the world around you as it presents itself. Everything you see, everything you come in contact with, if you're listening to podcasts with ads, things you hear, is all, if not directly chosen in the interest of corporations, it is at least considered not to be misaligned with corporations. So the very world around you, the way that it looks, the way that it is laid out, the way the colors, the shapes that you come in contact with on a daily basis, was chosen specifically to benefit corporations. In a way, corporations are remaking the world in their own image, or at least an image that benefits them. It's one of the sort of more heady philosophical problems with advertising. But at least it was done by humans before. Now, it's just a matter of time before the literal world around us is entirely created, dictated, designed, and approved by robots. It's not just about the bottle, the labeling on a bottle. It's not just about the billboard in the sky. But it is all of those things that are sort of constituent parts of our daily reality. And to a degree, robots are already involved in that process. But you know what? I agree with Dick Todor. It's about time that we just hand it all over to the robots. Human beings, we need to just take a load off our plate and let the robots. Who needs the metaverse or the virtual reality or AR or any of these things to recreate our world? We can just let the robots do it with good old-fashioned labeling printers. The article goes on, a PR stunt? Of course it is, but that doesn't make it worth dismissing immediately. Dick Todor has been on the forefront of technology-based stunts like this, last week offering what it called the world's first, and then it does a NFT for booze NFT. While Mika may be ornamental, generative AI is expected to be used by companies to make more and more decisions in the years to come. A recent report from the McKinsey found that AI could add the equivalent of $2.6 trillion $2.6 trillion to $4.4 trillion annually to the global economy by 2040. To put that into perspective, the United Kingdom's entire GDP in 2021 was $3.1 trillion. In addition, the report said, AI could enable labor productivity growth of 0.1% to 0.6% annually.
Boom, boom.
In that time. The required ending of a robot article that it will, improve labor for humans.
Barely.
That's very nice. Well, there you go, folks. Dictador, the dictator, has now has a new CEO. It's a robot, and she's controlling the world around you.
I believe the studies currently show that about, 1 to 4% or something of CEOs around the world exhibit psychopathic traits or something like that. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that'll show up in these models, especially if, they're working 24/7. They might start making decisions that don't make sense to the human handlers, but then you let the AI run and lo and behold, he brought in, or he or it or whatever, that strategy brought in, more customers, whatever it might be. So as the confidence builds with the AI, the people are going to just go with it, even though it may not make any sense to us. Yeah, that is the interesting part. At what point? I mean, it's one thing to have an AI in charge and it makes a decision and you go, yeah, wow, okay, I never thought about that. Makes sense. That. Right. But when it stops making sense, when it starts making decisions that are not obvious to the human brain, you have to wonder, what direction will the world go into? Because on one hand, if you are truly faithful in the AI supremacy and you're not an anti-robot racist, then at some point you have to be able to be like, that doesn't make sense to me, but the robot knows more than me. I mean, the robot's smarter. That's why we put the robot in charge.
If I was smarter than the robot, then I would be CEO. And of course, it won't make sense and there might be some pushback. But at some point, the trend will be to let the robot make decisions that make no sense to the human mind. And then at that point, we really have lost control of our world almost entirely.
Yeah, the first article from Newsweek that we covered with the shitty brain is they talked about how once AI is suggesting how to upgrade itself, and they basically just go with it, the manufacturing, the 3D printing factories or whatever, they just start building it, and we have no say. That's when things can really spiral out of control. So, yeah, I mean, if the AI takes over manufacturing of its own parts, then we really got a problem here.
Yep.
But, for now, it's just a publicity stunt. It's fun to do. You get the attention. You get the headline in Fortune. You get your spirit company mentioned out there, and you get the buzz. So marketing decision, well done, I suppose. But also, yeah, it's almost like handing off the baton and being like, "Yep, well, we're done here. We're just gonna drink." I wonder if the chitty brain can get drunk over there in China. What do you think? Do you think you can get drunk?
You have got to be careful. This is a family program.
I know.
We have children.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay. I think maybe you're slipping up a little bit once in a while without noticing it.
I'm saying, I'm pronouncing the word city in a Chinese accent. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, but you're Japanese. You're not allowed to do that. That's racist.
What?
It's more racist for you to do a Chinese accent than for me to do a Chinese accent.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true.
Okay. All right. What do you got next, Guns?
We got a little update here.
Mind control research intensifies.
Mind control weapons.
We track a bunch of topics here on Canary Cry News Talk, and I noticed that CERN was hitting all the outlets this week. And I think there's a reason why. This first one is from IFL Science, speaking of family-friendly words there. And the headline was, CERN places new limits in the search for magnetic monopoles. And I did not know what magnetic monopoles were prior to reading this article. I'm not going to read the article, or at least this one, because it's really dense and sciencey. But basically, magnetic monopoles are magnetic poles that are singular. There's no like north and south or positive, negative charge. It's just a charge on its own. And and it would break, it would do all kinds of stuff in science. It'll break Maxwell's equation. It has quantum mechanics implications. There's grand unified theory implications. But more sort of applicable is this would help quantum computing and magnetic storage and things like that. So this is kind of it's a future-y thing or a sciencey thing that these physicists have been really going after. And the CERN, we know that what they do with the Large Hadron Collider, they get these particles, they smash it together, and they just collect all this data. And all this data takes forever to wade through to actually, see if there's any information worth showing. And so to that effect, TechSpot here, another headline, Large Hadron Collider needed a new database system to sustain its petabyte-hungry experiments. And this article actually talks about the next run. So Large Hadron Collider is about to go on run 3. I think it's the phase is expected to generate 1 petabyte of data daily until the end of 2025. That's a lot of data. That's 1 petabyte every day until the end of 2025. The previous data
petabyte,
system.
what is that? That's let's see, a gig is 1,000 megabytes. A terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes. Is petabyte after terabyte?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's equal to 1 quadrillion bytes.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, it's kind of a dense article, so we won't go through everything here, but it mentions how the last run, which ran from 2018 to 2022, that was run 2. They're still analyzing the data, trying to figure out if anything anomalous occurred or any kind of theories can be proven or anything like that. But 2018 to 2022, certainly a 4-year window where a lot changed. A lot of things happened culturally, societally, obviously with COVID right there in 2020, but really, the Trump era signaled a massive change, and everyone, sort of the fringe community at large, I guess, kept a tab on CERN, not as much maybe as before, but it was always in the conversation. And part of that conversation is the Mandela effect. And this is where the mind control aspect comes in. And here's why I brought all this to the show today is not because IFL Science talked about CERN and not because TechSpot talked about CERN, but because CNN talked about CERN. And not just talked about CERN as like, oh, they're getting ready for another experiment. No, they have a whole thing here by Jacopo Prisco, the author of the article here. CNN.com, the Mandela effect describes the false memories many of us share, but why can't scientists explain it? So CNN has a headline that sounds like like a face like the sun, or maybe I kind of pushed back against the Bible Mandela effect narratives that were out there a few years ago, but culturally it's a whole separate thing here. And again, another dense article that really digs into the history of the Mandela effect. And if you are new to this type of thing, basically it's a collective false memory from the general public of popular things in culture, whether it be a children's story or a cartoon or whatever it is, or cereal box. Everybody remembers it one way, but actually it was another way. And the prime example was
a collective false memory is one definition of it. Yeah. Another definition would go into, just skipping timelines.
Right.
Or
so yes.
Reverse rewriting history. There's lots of different theories as to what this effect might be. However, it's interesting, no matter how vehemently somebody or an outlet or whatever tries to deny its existence, everybody agrees that it is real.
It's a real phenomenon.
You can feel it. Yes, and the classic example is the Berenstein Bears or the Berenstein Bears. There's a lot.
Of them actually a bunch of them.
Revolve around television and
movies. A lot of it is it's culture.
There's the Shazam or Kazam movie being played either by Shaq or by what's the other guy's name?
Sinbad.
Sinbad. That's what it is.
This article covers
I swear.
it lists pretty much all of those. And it also lists the study that was done by Wilma Bainbridge, an assistant professor in the University of Chicago Department of Psychology. And she said the Mandela effect is a really fascinating memory phenomenon where everyone seems to show incorrect memories for common popular icons. It's really growing in popularity on the internet on sites like Reddit and TikTok. And while for many people it's sort of fun little game they might play, I realized that it's actually a very interesting effect on human memory that hadn't been studied experimentally before. And so, legitimizing it in academia in a certain sense is very interesting. The researchers tried to find simple causes for the phenomenon, the Mandela effect, such as people not looking directly at the detail in question when observing the character or images across the internet displaying the errors, but they found no match for these hypotheses. Bainbridge and Prasad also had the participants in the experiment draw the icons from memory to see whether they would spontaneously create these errors, and they found that they often did. Quote, the big takeaway is that while the Mandela effect shows up across different types of experiments, there's no one clear explanation for it, end quote, Bainbridge said. So future research is needed. So again, we need more funding. We need to figure out this Mandela effect. Give us more money. Just something I didn't think we would see when the Mandela effect became sort of an internet culture phenomenon in the mid-2000s or 2010s, I guess. Here's where things get really bizarre in the multiple timeline type of thing. Basil, Mr. Basil Rosewater, there may be some other people out there that are perhaps a nemesis, perhaps an enemy, maybe a friend. I don't know. But there's a gentleman named Ken Drinkwater, who's quoted in this article, a fellow researcher at Manchester Metropolitan. He added that the effect might be connected to a condition called false memory syndrome. Quote, in their individual identity, and in the way they see the world. People are influenced by factually incorrect recollection. They could strongly believe in something or strongly believe that they've had this experience or this memory, but in actual fact, it's a fantasy, said Drinkwater, a senior lecturer at the university. Yeah.
What a name.
Ken Drinkwater.
You know, it's kind of funny. There's lots of funny names, but Drinkwater really takes the... I should have named myself Basil Eat Sandwich.
Eat Sandwich,
or something.
yeah.
You know,
Eat
there's
sushi.
the Ellis Island thing where you're showing up to the new world. What's your name? What's your last name? I don't know. Well, who's your dad? John. Okay, you're Johnson. What's you? Who's your? Okay. What? I don't know.
What's he
do
doing?
You have a dad? No. What are you doing?
Drinking water.
Drinking water. Okay, fine. That's it. For generations now, you've decided the name of your offspring. Yeah, he might be. He sounds like some sort of assassin. I think that's a good name for some sort of, dark money assassin, because it's kind of friendly. It's kind of like not, it's not intimidating. However, it kind of has this feeling of like, I will take everything from you.
I am what you are made of, water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they talk about the parallel worlds thesis here that's out there, and that's where they mentioned the Shazam thing. So basically, the movie, people remembered a movie called Shazam starring Sinbad, but actually the movie was Kazam starring Shaquille O'Neal. So
no, that's not true. It was definitely Shazam, and it was definitely Sinbad.
See, I remember because I remember Shaquille O'Neal. I was following, Orlando Magic Shaquille O'Neal back then when he was literally tearing down the rim off the backboard there. And so I remember the Kazam thing. But even I was kind of like, I remember Sinbad doing some kind of genie thing.
Yeah,
so I think that's
exactly.
where people, but it wasn't Shazam or Kazam or something. It was something else.
It was Kazam. I saw it in theaters, and I was way too young. I was way too young to see that movie in theaters. It was a spooky movie. He ate some eyeballs, and the bad guys were like real bad guys. It was a whole thing.
No, they were implanting the false memory right then and there. Quote, advocates of the Mandela effect think it's a genuine effect. Many believe this is based on the many worlds or multiverse theory, and that things are different in parallel realities, Dagnall said, referring to the theory that suggests there may be other universes, potentially an infinite number of them beyond our own. Quote, I also came across the idea of time travel, which would be causing small changes in the fabric of time, end quote. Another popular theory is that the Large Hadron Collider, a particle accelerator at the European Organization for Nuclear Research known as CERN in Switzerland, has opened a portal to a different dimension when it was activated in 2008. Never thought CNN would actually publish those words, even though they try to debunk it here. Clara Nellist.
At least in the context of this, they would usually do it in like, yes, the QAnon shaman has gone to jail today for insurrection, and also he believes in the Mandela effect.
Right.
Isn't that silly? Right.
Clara Nellist, a CERN particle physicist, responded to such concerns on TikTok, specifically about Oreo double stuff cookies bearing the name rather than double stuffed, saying that, quote, there are much higher energy particle collisions happening in our atmosphere all the time. I can promise you we are not going around changing the labels on your food, end quote. Which is kind of like a
likely story.
I was going to say, this is a great kind of PR moment for Clara Nellist, CERN particle physicist, to take a cultural phenomenon and maybe dump some cold water on it, or maybe in her view. But that doesn't debunk anything. Maybe she's taken over by the creatures from the other dimension. Quote, during times of uncertainty, like the pandemic, disinformation, misinformation, and conspiracy theories become more prevalent, Drinkwater said. Hold on one second, bud. I got to read this Drinkwater quote. Yeah, you can circle it, bud. You can do it. Quote, people want to look at something that gives them more meaning. So it could be that belief in the Mandela effect might be heightened because of this process, end quote.
That's so boring. That's their explanation for everything.
Yeah. Well, even what's funny is, even them probably they are, because even the article says that there's not a clear explanation. They're even trying to come up with stuff to explain it.
Totally.
The University of Chicago's Bainbridge, however, said she has bad news for alternative reality hopefuls. Quote, sorry to disappoint people who believe in the parallel universe, but in our drawing study, we asked people if they had heard of Pikachu or Mr. Monopoly before, and if they said no, we would show them a picture. Then, after a short delay, we asked them to draw them from memory. She said, quote, even those who had never heard of them still made some of these errors, like the tail and the monocle. These people had this false memory right after learning about the characters, which shows that this
irrelevant.
Effect can happen even without going across parallel dimensions.
That is irrelevant. What a silly thing to hang your hat on.
I find it fascinating that the debunk here by CNN, or the attempts to debunk, pretty impotent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there you go. There's the Mandela effect and CERN being brought up and parallel universes in CNN, which I thought was
all right. CNN,
very interesting.
They're going. They're widening their net. Who wrote this one? Was it Chris Shilzilla? Any chance?
I was really hoping it was
Jacopo
his return.
Prisco.
Yeah, it's a Jacopo Prisco. Yeah, it would be nice if Chris Shilzilla jumped on this beat here, the Mandela effect beat. I think he should.
Yeah, we'll keep a look on his Substack.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on his Substack. We'll see if he latches on. All right. I got a little updates. Let's catch up on some Ukraine stuff here.
Fight for Ukraine. New world order.
Okay, this is coming from Newsweek.com. And, at first read, this article seemed just kind of boring and kind of whatever, just sort of your standard weekly article about the Ukraine war. But then something hit me just straight in the face. The headline is this: it's time to admit the truth about the war in Ukraine. And course correct. Opinion. So it is an opinion piece here, but it's time to admit the truth about the war in Ukraine. As if
that's a different headline from what I have.
I know they did change it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it we can no longer hide the truth about Russia-Ukraine war? Yeah, they switched it. I'm wondering maybe either somebody got in trouble or they're doing some A/B testing or something. But the original headline, we can no longer hide the truth about Russia-Ukraine war, probably got changed because it
implies they were hiding.
It was an admission that they were hiding the truth about Russia and Ukraine. Now, admitting the truth, I don't know how much better it is to admit the truth versus stop hiding the truth. They both are not great. Not a great look for the mainstream media. As leading American politicians, generals, and pundits continue advocating for open-ended support to Kyiv in their war against Russia, I think it's an interesting detail here that they mentioned Ukraine's war against Russia.
Oh, I thought Russia was waging war on Ukraine. It's all Putin. I thought Putin was doing all the
Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah, what is
not
this
the Ukraine war against Russia? Again, a very subtle thing, and some people may choose to look past it, but it is very specific pieces of narration here. Let's see. As leading American politicians, generals, and pundits continue advocating for open-ended support of Kyiv in their war against Russia, a sober, accurate analysis of Ukraine's nearly completed summer offensive reveals that the heroic sacrifice Ukraine continues to make is producing little to no meaningful progress toward the objective of evicting Russia from Ukraine's territory.
Yikes.
They called it the Summer Offensive. The name before that name was the Spring Offensive, if you remember. Washington should instead employ a necessary course correction and form a new policy based on the harsh ground truth combat realities in Ukraine. Revising the objectives would give Washington and Kyiv a chance to preserve Ukrainian lives and American interests. Well, I can tell you one thing. Only one of those two things is something politicians are interested in. preserving Ukrainian lives and American interests. I think we all know which one of those takes precedent. Washington's current policies do neither. Despite great... and that's where you're mistaken, Newsweek. Despite great hopes for a rapid success, Ukraine's months-in-the-making offensive has sputtered from the outset. That shouldn't have surprised anyone in the White House. On April 5th, 2 months before the start of the offensive, I wrote that, quote, Zelensky's troops with little to no air power and a dearth in artillery ammunition could suffer egregious casualties while gaining little. 5 days later, the Washington Post revealed the contents of a leaked top-secret U.S. intelligence assessment, which likewise predicted the Ukrainian offensive would probably fall well short of expectations, and that enduring Ukrainian deficiencies in training and munition supplies probably will strain progress and exacerbate casualties during the offensive. Exacerbate casualties is such a polite way
more
of
people
saying
can die.
Killing Ukrainians. Total Ukrainian deaths in the war at that point estimated to be as low as 17,500. About a month before the start of the offensive, I again warned the odds were stacked heavily against Kyiv. This guy's starting to sound like us.
Yeah, he did.
I warned you. I told you.
I got links.
We've
I got
said this.
receipts.
Yeah. To succeed, I explained, Ukraine would, quote, have to conduct the most difficult task in modern land warfare, a combined arms operation into the teeth of a dug-in enemy force that is prepared for an attack, complicated by the shortage of artillery ammunition along with limited air power and minimal air defenses. Nevertheless, on the eve of battle, some Western analysts remained optimistic.
A WAPO link there. Remained optimistic.
Washington Post link, yeah. Once the offensive began on June 5th, however, the optimism quickly evaporated. Once it began. That's, yeah. I always look at this as a sports thing. And if, you can be pumped before a game, but, there are games in sports, whatever sport it is, where you try to get pumped before, you're outclassed or whatever. And then, within the first minute, you're like, oh boy, this is not good. This is not good. This is not going to end well. Once the offensive begins, optimism evaporated. Evaporated too is such like a eloquently savage way to describe. Yeah. Then it goes through their strategies regarding, infantry and tanks and how the tanks were all getting blown up. All their shiny new tanks that were like the talk of the town, that the Europe and U.S. was finally giving them tanks. They wanted more tanks. And then they just immediately blew up in all their minefields. And they moved to an infantry-centric attack system. So World War I strategies. While this change did result in producing incremental gains, the cost was exorbitant. On August 29th, the BBC reported that new leaked reports suggested Ukrainian battle deaths exploded. That's not a polite way to say that. Ukrainian battle deaths exploded.
Things are evaporating. They're exploding. Man, this is really a debacle over there.
Whereas Ukraine was reported to have lost 17,500 troops in the first year of the war, it presently assessed to have lost a breathtakingly high 50,000 additional deaths for a total of 70,000 dead and 120,000 wounded. We have not seen numbers like this.
Yeah, that is crazy.
The world has not seen numbers like this in quite some time. Man. And that's not even counting Russian deaths. I mean, talk about the depopulation agenda. So, if it wasn't clear to Washington before the offensive started that the fundamentals of combat operations and principles of war indicated Ukraine would likely fail, it should now be crystal clear. Although Ukraine appears to have finally penetrated the first line of Russia's main defense, the most difficult part of Russia's defense system has yet to be overcome. The hundreds of kilometers of dragon's teeth, tank ditches, and yet more vast minefields.
Could some of those minefields be the result of our, what are those things called?
Our cluster munitions.
Yeah.
And certainly
it's our own doing.
Yeah. And this is going back. What he's doing here is he's bolstering the idea of a demilitarized zone.
Right.
Kind of like between North and South Korea, this zone that nobody really inhabits. It's extremely dangerous. There's mines. It's sort of left over from the war. It's an uninhabitable place. And usually the casualties of these demilitarized zones are children and civilians and stuff like that. I mean, that's exactly what he's describing here. It is unclear at this point whether Ukraine has enough striking power remaining on its offensive forces to reach, much less penetrate, Russia's second main line, beyond which is a third main line, followed by a fortress defense at Tokmak, which is still 75 road kilometers from the Azov coast. Given these realities, the best Ukraine can likely do for the rest of the year is hold what they have and prevent the possibility of losing more territory to a potential Russian counteroffensive this fall. The United States, however, would be wise to adjust its policies to reflect the reality of Ukraine's slim chances against Russia's fortified lines. Washington has spent nearly $113 billion over the course of this war, provided Ukraine with an astounding volume of modern arms and ammunition, and delivered an impressive array of training and intelligence support. After almost a year of preparation, it hardly dented Russian lines.
Didn't make a dent.
Nothing. There is no realistic basis, therefore, to believe that Ukraine has the capacity to attain its stated strategic objective to reclaim all of its territory, including Crimea. What is realistic is to continue providing Kyiv with the military wherewithal to defend itself from further Russian incursions. So even in this scathing report about how, look, we can't hide it anymore. We've tried our best to hide it. We can't hide the truth. We got to admit the truth. This is a horrible idea. It's not going well. But what is realistic is we, keep giving them weapons and ammunition and training, just like we always have. This goal should be combined with shifting an increasing percentage of the burden for additional arms and ammunition to our rich European friends. The U.S. should continue to ensure the war does not expand beyond the borders of Ukraine, and increase diplomatic efforts with all relevant parties to end the war in the best terms possible for Kyiv, all of which are beneficial to American interests. Well, that's not quite true, but okay. Now, they're pulling something here that we saw at the tail end of COVID, okay, which is the small admissions that things didn't work. All the money, all the restrictions, all the shaming, everything we did didn't quite work. We're not going to win the battle. But that doesn't mean you should stop doing it. You should still get your booster. You should still wear your mask.
This is how he's on. This is how this guy is on Newsweek, by the way. There's little things that keep him, don't bite the hand that feeds too much there,
No, this is a very, very clever way of doing it, especially after a long campaign of failure and lies and hiding the truth, which we've seen in many different instances over the last few years. When it becomes too obvious to possibly hold the lie in anymore, you can admit that things were the way that things were, that the conspiracy theorists were right, that people weren't crazy, that your neighbors and your family were brainwashed, but that doesn't mean we should stop doing it. It's this very clever and very malicious sort of way of, quote unquote, coming clean without actually admitting that you were wrong. Now it ends up here. Rather than repeating over the next year and a half what has already not worked, potentially costing Ukraine yet additional hundreds of thousands of losses, it's time to try something that has a chance to succeed. A chance. Something that has a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
In other words, it's time to acknowledge objective reality and employ policies that can work. Again, ending it with the admission that objective reality has not been acknowledged. It has been completely ignored. And you think to yourself, okay, well, good. The mainstream wants to, acknowledge objective reality, I guess. But then you forget the fact that they have been in the business, their core business model, not just in some outlets, not just the Washington Post, not just CNN, but the very corporate news business model itself is to create subjective realities and not acknowledge objective realities, and then to shame and demonize anybody who does not buy in to your subjective reality. And it's not just about the war, it's not just about COVID, but we can name all sorts of social issues going on right now, which are insisting that people accept subjective realities and live their life without the influence of objective reality. And it is, you realize it is the operating system of the entire world that we live in, which is the forcing of subjective realities. And when the subjective reality, much like in that article from last episode where they said, once debunking wears off, because the truth, of course, doesn't last very long, they claim. Now, once your subjective reality wears off and enough people start waking up to it, you can acknowledge objective reality, but keep the exact same strategies in place because they really don't care what you believe. If you go all the way to the top of the power structure, they care about what you believe only so far as it influences how you act. But if you no longer believe what they're saying, as long as you act the right way, they don't care what you believe. Mm-hmm. They're fine to let all of us live in this, cognitive dissonance. I mean, it's literally like Brave New World, where they'll create a subjective reality for you to justify acting a certain way. But if you break out of that subjective reality and you start getting so interested in that pesky objective reality, they really don't care about the mind control as long as you're still acting as if the subjective reality was true. And this is maybe one of the most powerful aspects of the opportunities that we get today in the face of forced subjective realities, is it's not just about belief. It's not just about being a contrarian on Facebook or being the black sheep in your family and talking about conspiracy theories at Thanksgiving. It's not just about that. It's about how you act. That's the real, the sort of real way to irritate the powers that be. And you can see it over and over again with particularly famous people who not just didn't believe the right thing, but started acting in a way that discounts this forced subjective reality. And I think we're in that phase. We should draw out, I almost feel like making a diagram of these timelines, because over the years now, God's doing this so long, it is the exact same playbook every single time. You can break it down, if not in chronologically in years and months, you can definitely break it down in phases of the psyop,
Yeah. Our viewers have been blessed with a little gif of Zelensky from prior to his political days. Where he's in his
dancing around.
His dance moves, he's flicking his hair. It's very flamboyant. But I can see why the military-industrial complex really fell in love with this guy. He's really just charming. He can move.
You can thank Victoria Nuland for that.
He can move for sure.
Just real quick. Mm-hmm. Do you remember when Victoria Nuland brought cookies to Ukraine and was passing out cookies?
Yes.
Yeah, this is about 2014, after the coup that we sponsored and orchestrated, Victoria Nuland specifically. After the coup, she showed up to Ukraine with a platter of cookies and was passing them out. And I mean, Victoria Nuland, she's really, I mean, she's a puppet, but she's a puppet with incredible puppet master skills. Where Victoria Nuland shows up in your country, you know that like powers are about to change hands, so you better run. And then she shows up with cookies to kind of take the sting out of it a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like Oprah going over to Maui with some cash with The Rock.
Very similar. Right? Yeah.
These people have a playbook that they go with, whether it's cookies or money, and just keep the people happy and do your thing, do your evil thing.
Well, speaking of keeping the people happy, Guns, do we have any voice messages?
We do, but just to land the plane on the Ukraine thing, Babylon B, as always. Zelensky passes around offering plate during UN speech, and there's a picture of Zelensky talking at UN and a picture of one of those small golden offering plates with crumpled dollar bills in there. Apparently, there wasn't a whole lot of people attending his speech, so maybe the jig is up. The jig is up.
Is that true?
It looks like it, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell with the tweeters there. They're like, nobody came to the Zelensky, and there's like a picture with some scant audience. But you know how those things go. It could be the beginning of the thing. It could, maybe it was they're coming back from lunch
and get shamed.
Yeah. So you never know. But yes, we do have some speak pipe today. So let's do that.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com. On the right side of the page, or on the bottom if you're on a mobile device, you'll see a green tab. Click on it, and it'll open up a window that allows you to record a audio message through your device of up to 90 seconds. And it can be played for, if it's for us, let us know that it's a private message. If it's for the world, then we will play it if it's appropriate, of course. And today we have a couple from, I believe he is going by SG Elder Dave now. That's a silly goose Elder Dave. He's been coming in quite often. Here is it's a two-parter. Here's part one.
Hi, guys. SG Elder Dave here. I would never send you guys a private message. So this message is for you guys and everybody else. That rant about the dog hit press conference, I was channeling Rosanna Dana from the old Saturday Night Live program in the 70s. Understand, I like you guys. Well, I could say love, but it's not that kind of love. After 2 marriages with females, I'm not trying that out. That ship has sailed. Love you. God love you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, SG Silly Goose Elder Dave.
What's the Greek word for podcast love? You got different kinds, different words for different kinds of love going on in the Bible. There must be a very specific word for the love between a producer and their podcast host.
Yeah, that would be interesting. What kind of love it is? Maybe. No, I'm not going to go there. Okay. But SG Elder Dave, thank you for clarifying the reference there. I think 70s SNL acts are, at least for me, that's a little too early. I had to look it up. I was like, when did Saturday Night Live even start? It started in 1975. So, you're getting half a decade there of stuff. Did you ever watch Saturday Night Live, Basil, growing up? It was like a cultural phenomenon, in our youth. And I watched it in the 90s. It was like Will Ferrell and Adam Sandler and, that whole crew there. So I was removed from the 70s references and even the 80s. But yeah, okay. Thank you for the clarification, Elder Dave. He also came in with another message here. Let's see. Here we go.
This is just great, guys. You guys, ever since you called me a silly goose, I got these geeslings Jesus. Jesus found me all over the place. I can't get rid of him. I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, have a nice day.
I couldn't tell if those are real.
This is a Silly Goose Elder Dave is starting to become a sort of establishment character here on the show. It's not going to be too long before one of the artists kind of puts pencil to paper.
Sure,
and
yeah.
Yes, we'll get a Silly Goose Elder Dave jingle, a Silly Goose Elder Dave logo. We'll do the whole thing. Thank you very much. You silly goose.
SG Elder Dave. All right.
Guys, real quick.
Yeah.
We had an executive producer come in.
Oh, okay.
And I want to make sure we fit them in the show.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Executive producers.
That's right. That's right. They come out of the woodwork. They produce the show. They're one of the major reasons that we're able to keep doing the show. So that's why we thank them. And that's why we should all thank God for them. And this executive producer came in during the show. And so we're going to give them credit for this, especially because they are on a streak. And that is, you know it, you love them. It's executive producer, LS Protocol V2, Night of the Breen Protocol. Plus, he's a knight at the Canary Cry Roundtable, so we got to make sure that he gets his due here. And you guessed it, he comes in with $100.33. This puts LX Protocol V2 Night of the Breen Protocol on a 213 episode streak, and more than that, a 9-episode executive producer streak.
Wow. Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
Executive streak. Where'd you find this?
Hey, you lit now.
Wow, he's lit. He's a lit executive producer.
Your executive lit, Sir LX Protocol V2 Night of the Breen Protocol. Thank you so much. You are an inspiration to the streakers out there and the executive producer streakers. Now, Gons, we had talked about expanding the Canary Cry Roundtable to include higher peerage levels. Mm-hmm. And we kind of did it. We didn't quite follow through on the whole thing, but we might need to consider figuring that out. Because Sir Alex Protocol V2 Night of the Breen Protocol, just in this streak alone, is going to be hitting some next level peerage. So maybe we need to put together some sort of council to decide what the levels of peerage will be.
Yeah, that's a great idea. What's higher than the knight?
Well, we could take the example from No Agenda. And do Baron? I don't know the exact rankings of these, but there's Baronet, Baron, Duke, Earl, Archduke, these types of things. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
we'll figure it out.
I like it.
But we gotta, there's gotta be something we can do to recognize the commitment to keeping the show going.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much, Sir Alex Protocol V2. Night of the Breen Protocol, executive producer.
Where'd you find this?
All right. As we always talk about, we operate value for value.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
And part of what we do here is not just, get support financially. We also need your support with other things like art, for example, building the culture behind the community. And so we're going to thank some people coming in with some creative producerships. First up, audio production.
Audio production. Productions.
All right, and we got something from Jonathan F. here. Let me make sure I have the note ready to go. Jonathan F. Oh, of course, I need to give him his introductory jingle.
Jonathan F.
And he which one is this? Is this the one? Oh, it is. Okay. Yes. He says, the Director General of the World Health Organization admitting boosters kill people. It's about 30 seconds. 33 seconds.
Its benefits, especially with elderly groups, senior citizens, especially above 65 and above 60. So if it's going to be used, it's better to focus on those groups who have risk of severe disease and death, rather than, as we see, some countries are using to give boosters to kill children, which is not right. Then the equity issue comes here.
Say what? I didn't catch that one.
I didn't catch it either.
I didn't know. That sounded like Tedros. I didn't know he said that other countries are using the boosters to kill children. Whoa. Okay. All right.
That is bizarre.
That is really weird. I gotta say, things are really. It's almost like even the elite people are reading the room, and they're kind of like, well, we better start talking a little just to give people the ability to be mad at us, or take the mad at us narrative into they're admitting it narrative, which is kind of where we're in right now. Anyway, thank you very much, Jonathan. I appreciate it. Appreciate you taking kind of stories or clips that are out there and turning it into a jingle or a little musical thing, because we can address it, but also consume it in a nice package there. So thank you very much. We're going to get to some art.
One art, please.
And of course, we have one from Sir Dove.
One art, please, from Dove.
Real quick, guys, a lot of these jingles are coming in super quiet.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I get from messing with different things here. Hold on one second.
Yeah, no worries. It's just letting you know.
Help. Okay. What are we doing? Yes. Sir Dove, Knight of Rusbeltia, has a note here. Piece for this week's thumbnail duo illustration. I showed what may happen if the value for value model ever fails. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do. I'll keep praying for you. Oh, man. And it's a duo picture.
This is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, the background is, of a lush, verdant, green rainforest, jungle, trees,
South
the
American,
canopies billowing
probably.
up. Yes, very South American looking. And you've got Basil and Gons in the foreground here, and they are dressed up exactly how I imagine the jetpack floating Peruvian alien illegal
gold mining
cartel mystery from, I think it was last month or so. On the left, we've got Basil the Canary Man. He's got a Peruvian poncho draped over his shoulders. He's got a big old jetpack and a helmet on his head. He's giving a thumbs up because he is good for liftoff. He's got the canary head and crossbones emblazoned on his helmet there, and in his hand he's holding a alien mask, like a mask on a stick type of thing.
Put it in front of your face, yeah.
Giving the thumbs up. On the right, we've got Gons there, also in his very flashy Peruvian poncho.
Mine's got crosses on it,
tassels.
Yeah.
Yes, he's got the cross on. He's got his own helmet there. The helmet, man, that's a good-looking helmet, Gons. Wow. It looks like this sort of gigantic globe-headed ski helmets from, childhood.
Yeah.
But you don't have a jetpack on your back. You have you're on one of the jet boards that we've covered in the past. You can see it emblazoned with the DERPA logo.
Yeah.
Instead of the DARPA logo. Very funny. In your left hand there, you are holding a sack of gold coins that just says C on the top. S-I.
Yes. Yeah.
Spanish for yes there. And that must be the illegally gold mined gold that we benefited from by scaring off the Peruvian villagers with our Alien Act, our Scooby-Doo-esque Alien Act.
Not just scaring, but attacking too. I think.
There was blades. They got shot at. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sir Dove. This is hilarious, and man, will it look good on the front of a Canary Cry thumbnail on your podcast app.
Yep. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. All right, we have a couple of microfictions.
Microfiction. Time Microfiction.
First one is from Rung Smash.
Oh, hello?
Yeah.
Hold on. We might need to start it over. I'm not hearing the music. Hello?
Yeah, The music is going. Can you not hear the music still?
I'm sorry. Did you restart it, or
yeah,
did you? Sorry, I don't mean to make it so weird. Tell me when you're about to start it, so I can.
It started
hear
twice. It's starting. No, I'm pressing the button.
I hear you
now.
I hear you. Yeah, can't hear it, but here we go. Carbon detected. Eliminate. Shrieks a shrill mechanical voice. The 6 legs of hardened recycled trash and island plastic pound the concrete floor of the storm drain. It charges along Marty's trail. Halt, Canarian. You must stop emitting carbon.
We have a baby melting down. We almost made it.
The baby meltdown was perfect timing.
Yeah, we almost made a full show. I don't know if it's gonna happen here. What's up, buddy?
It's a baby. Somebody needs to give that baby a snack. He wants some crackers and peanut butter sandwich.
All right, we got another microfiction from Stephen S. Here we go. I'm pressing the button, Basil.
Zoe, on their TikTok UFO channel, quickly debunked the Peruvian alien corpse. An alien will disintegrate into a puddle of goo, which his fellow aliens will ceremoniously consume with straws containing the vital nutrients from their home planet.
Sorry. My son is seeing the thumbnail of the Gon's World, me holding the guitar, and he's going, "Hey, that's you, Daddy."
That's very cute. Yeah. Very cute. Thank you, Stephen S. This is in regards to the Mexican Congress, a Telegraph article about it's extraordinary that the Mexican Congress allowed itself to turn into a sideshow hustle. It is extraordinary. Thank you very much, Stephen S.
Thank you very much. I saw a really funny meme about that where it was 2 aliens saying, we got proof that Hillary Clinton is corrupt or whatever, and then they show the 2 aliens and the alien bodies in the casket. It was really funny. All right.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to get us out of this break if you're ready to go. All right. So if you're a creative person and you want to get involved, you want to produce the show, we highly encourage you to do so. All you got to do is create something for the show, whether it's music or graphic art or whatever, and go to canarycry.art, canarycry.art to upload it. And we will put it on the show. And if you have any articles that you would like us to consider for the show, go ahead and go to canarycry.report.
All right, real quick here, just to get us out of here, we have a story about witchcraft, because, it's almost the witchcraft month there. Where's my witchcraft? There it is.
This girl must be practicing witchcraft.
All right, so this is from Boston25news.com. Headline, police respond to yet another hoax bomb threat at Salem Elementary School. So, okay, apparently Salem, an elementary school in Salem is getting a lot of hoax bomb threats. And the reason why I'm bringing this, it just struck me. It says here, authorities in Salem responded to an elementary school Tuesday afternoon for a reported bomb threat. The threat was called into Witchcraft Heights Elementary School around 1:30 p.m. Now, I get it.
Pretty weird name for a school.
Yeah, I get it. Salem, that's, the heart of the witch trial. I get it. But Witchcraft Heights Elementary, I don't know. I don't know that that's the best decision, especially in right now when things are swinging conservative in the United States or right wing or whatever. Stuff like that. That's grounds for some, I don't know, certain types of social warriors or I don't know, conservative warriors to, pull off pranks like call up the school and say there's a bomb or something.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Even if you take it out of a sort of literal spiritual context, even if you just talk about it in sort of ideological or philosophical terms. You're calling it Witchcraft Heights. I mean, that's like naming a school. What if you named a school, Prayer Closet Elementary School? Is somebody of either a secular or the different religious connotation would be like, hey, that's weird. I don't want my elementary school called Prayer Closet Elementary School. That doesn't make sense. Right. So calling it Witchcraft Heights, I mean, you can't quite blame somebody for having a disagreement with that. Now, does that mean making bomb threats is the thing to do? No,
not that's not it either. But that could be part of the whole psyop here in the narrative crafting. The chief who responded, the police chief, said this, quote, "The frequency of school threats, which turns out to be hoaxes, has dramatically increased in the last 2 years and presents a quandary for school personnel and public safety alike. It is clear that we must always respond and take all threats seriously given what is at stake. Thank goodness. The response, however, must also take into account the mental trauma inflicted upon school children who are exposed to repeated police emergencies and a small but real risk we take in moving them en masse." So this police chief recognizes that, sure, a traumatic event, these types of, if there was a bomb, of course, it would be a tragedy if, something happened, but it doesn't need to. It's almost like just having the police come out there and check everything out, that itself creates mental trauma for these children. And maybe that's the point.
Yeah.
So just an interest. And this type of story, all it does is it creates more of the, hey, we need to secure our elementary schools. How are we going to, we need to track our children, microchip them, maybe not that extreme right away, but you get what I'm saying. Policy, the schools in general, public schools especially, are, they're sort of indoctrination centers now, and so I don't know.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
the
always
way with
have
the gun,
been, but
yeah, of course. But with the gun issue and all that kind of stuff going on now, it seems like they want to have more. I don't know what the word is. It's not just surveillance, but I don't know, maybe like a little local city brain that can watch all the people's activity and then decide whether if something is aligned with their values or not. So,
one thing about this story is interesting. I mean, my first instinct was that it's called Witchcraft Heights because that sounds like a neighborhood. It's probably a neighborhood nearby, or the neighborhood in which, and it is. It's the neighborhood is called Witchcraft Heights, but you are just reading the headline. You are led to believe that it's a bomb threat because of the name of the school, because it is called Witchcraft Heights. Right. And, you're just left to assume that it's some crazy Christian calling up and, having something against witchcraft, which is extremely popular nowadays. But they don't give any reason. They give no explanation. They don't say, yes, there's been plenty of bomb threats at this school because crazy Christians or whatever don't like the name or whatever, whatever the excuse might be. It may be just that there's some, either pranksters or bad people in the area that just happens to be where their kids go to school or whatever. Maybe they wanted to, get their kids a day off or something. Who knows? But you're sort of,
I think there are easier ways to have their kids have the day off. Calling them bomb threats, but sure.
You're left to assume that it has something to do with a culture war.
Right.
And they give absolutely no explanation at all. I just think that's weird. It seems a little irresponsible.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it all unfolds. But it's just a little thing that I noticed, and maybe it's a PR, maybe it's the principal, trying to get their school in the news there right before Halloween.
Yeah, because we
big Halloween party at Witchcraft Heights Elementary School. They want everyone to know about it. So
even bad press is good press when you run a public elementary school,
especially if you're a witch.
Okay, well, you got to go pick up your child from their non-witchcraft school.
Yeah,
so that's it for today.
Yeah, great.
That's it for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I want to thank real quick before we go some more producers, starting with our Clippies.
Clippy on those videos. Radio. Thanks.
That's right. Go follow the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey. And thank you very much, Clippies, for your work, past, present, and future. And it's only possible because of the timestampers.
Oh, I'm not ready for that one.
Timestamp. It's hard work. Timestamp.
Yep, they timestamp the show. They are dedicated, faithful producers of the show, and it's such an important job. We thank them every show. Not starting, but today we are thanking producer Morgan E. for doing the timestamps for episode 668. Thank you, Morgan E.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. And on top of that, thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you to Lottie for the links. Thank you to Clank for the clanks. And share the show, folks. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your elementary school principal. You know, it's a hard life being an elementary school principal, especially if you are put in charge of Witchcraft Elementary School. People call you up. They think, hey, are you the headmaster of Hogwarts? And you say, no. And you say, well, will my kids learn witchcraft? You got to say no. And they say, well, then I'm going to blow up your school. And you say, no, please, no. I'm just a principal who is passionate about making sure that our children are brought up in a way that is socially acceptable, make them think that the best they're ever going to do is become slaves to a corporate autocracy, and pray that the economy just doesn't turn. I'm going to make sure that they support Ukraine. I'm going to make sure that they wear their masks. I'm going to make sure that they're boosted. This is my job as a public elementary school teacher. And that's when you call up and they answer the phone. And instead of hate speech or anything that could be construed as inappropriate, no, you're just going to go ahead and put your phone headset right up to the speakers of your Dodge Ram that is blasting Canary Cry News Talk, because truth can be transmitted not just from face to face or by writing letters to your congressman, but also through the blaring speakers of a 1994 Dodge Ram, through the phone lines and into your principal's ears, which will then wake them up to the fact that, perhaps programming children to be cogs in a machine is not the best way to spend my time. I'm going to transform the public school system from the inside out. That could be you. You could transform the entire American school system from the inside out by sharing the show with your beloved school administrators. That's not the only way you have to do it. You can do it whatever way you want. Sometimes you can just walk up and tell somebody about a cool new podcast. But whatever way you do it, we call it rattling cages, and all you got to do is walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Guns, you got any last words?
I'm hoping the next episode will be the Burning Man episode.
Oh, yes. I am hoping that as well.
Yep.
Yes. We are working our way through that, folks.
Yep.
All right. Well, there you go. You know what? I forgot to mention it earlier on in the show. Just to reiterate, the deadline for the fourth quarter supply drop is the 22nd. So that'll be Friday. We got to have a deadline because we got to know how many things to manufacture. So if you want to get in on the Canary Cry supply drop, where next quarter we will be including the DVD for Age of Deceit 2. That's right. That's the only way to get your copies of hard copies of the Age of Deceit series, working all the way up to Age of Deceit 4, is that. I know there are some people asking questions, but remember, if you sign up now, you're technically in the Canary Cry Babysitters Club. You will receive the T-shirt, and I am 95% sure that we may have some Age of Deceit 1 DVDs in the back room that we'll be including with signer-uppers who came in this month during this extended deadline period. So that's a great way to catch up your collection of Age of Deceit films, support your favorite podcast, and be some of the only people in the world who have access to hard copy DVDs of Age of Deceit films. So go to canarycrysupply.com to get your hands on that. Okay, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary cry, not supposed.
Thirsty for more news and analysis, not controlled by corporate media advertisers? Then try the all-new CCNT Energy Shots. Collect all 33 flavors. CCNT 500. Taste that is out of this world. Burning basil, one sip and you're dreaming. Flippy. Take back your favorite flavor. Propaganda Rooster. A toast to your comrades in farms. Rattling cages. Let's shake things up. Canary Cry After Dark. What time is it? It's wake up time. Support value for value. And think outside the cage with Canary Cry News Talk. But what do I know? I'm just an AI-generated cat girl avatar. And this is a fake ad. Baka.
Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.